If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Make me say, my. I done been around the world.
Yeah, I was made for this.
Player performance.
Punchy, why lose combat? Player performance 5, I believe, volume. UFC Fight Night. We've got Kevin Vallejo going against Joshua Emmett. Let's break this down. Now, I've got a huge free pick that I'll be getting to each and every single one of you guys during this video, by the end of it. I might drop it a little bit early this way you guys know it's worth it. But again, I'm going to be breaking down a select few fights. None of these are official free picks. I have one free pick I'm going to drop for you guys. Not to mention, we've got an absolutely huge weekend coming up here. Let's get right to this, my friends. UFC Fight Night. Now, we've got Kevin Vallejo going against Joshua Emmett. I told you guys a couple weeks back, I like Vallejo. You've seen me bet him before in the past. This is one of my guys. Joshua Emmett. Now, training with TJ Dillashaw. What I do now, I deal with some of the best fighters in the world, especially when it comes to this. Some of the top gyms on the planet I've been in. This is a situation where we've heard a lot of rumblings. We've heard a situation where here's what we're doing. Joshua Emmett's looking to train for one punch and one punch only. This is a veteran. He knows what he's up against. He's training with TJ Dillashaw. They're looking to counter right hand. Now, here's the thing. I don't think he's going to get it. Vallejos is a play I would go with. I do think Vallejos is going to put on a show. At the same time, if you're always looking for that dog, if you're looking for a little prop that gets you a little extra, Joshua Emmett plus the 375, plus 400 to win by knockout. Again, that's just for fun. That's a situation where we're hearing that this is what they're training for. They're not looking for nothing else. Joshua Emmett's a KG veteran. When you get to where he's getting to or where he's been and where he is now, these guys know what they're doing, and they know exactly how to train, what to train for, and they could train specifically for that. So, Joshua Emmett to win by knockout plus 375. But again, my personal play, what I would go with, Kevin Vallejos is going to win this fight. Let's not get crazy. Kevin Vallejos on that. Now, let's keep this right on moving, my friends. That's fight 1. Excuse me there. Fight 2, what I want you guys to do, keeping up with the method of the rumors and the innuendo, so to speak. Vitor Patrino going against Stephen Aspen. Now, Vitor Patrino is about minus 220. Aspen's about plus 190, plus 200 on that. Here's where this is going to get interesting. There's been a ton of information coming out, especially even from Patrino himself. He hurt his right hand or right wrist injury, excuse me. When you have an injury like that, especially a guy who flat out bangs, who can bang, that will affect you. Here's what I want to talk about, especially when it comes to that. Stephen Aspen's a guy who doesn't have a ton of experience in UFC. I believe he has one fight, maybe two, but I think he has one fight, plus the 190. Now, that when you have a wrist injury, when you have a hand injury, a lot of guys will sit there and try to get through it. You have the gloves on, you figure we can get through it. Two things happen. You get through it and you just knock the guy out, which is possible here. And to be honest with everybody here, I do think that's going to happen more so than not. But if you're a dog player, which I know a lot of guys are, this is where you take your shot. Stephen Aspen plus 200 on this, plus 190 again. What I have in a gut feeling is that if Patrino throws that right hand and hurts it, we're going to be looking at a situation where he's got nothing left. No more bullets in the chamber, so to speak. And we're looking where Aspen could actually pull off a little bit of an upset, grind him down, get a decision. I don't know if Aspen's explosive enough to get him out of there. But again, you want to take a guy's right hand and away from him, especially a guy like Patrino, you're sending a guy in there basically with a knife to a gunfight. Aspen is a beautiful dog pick. If you like dogs, I know a lot of guys do. Plus 190, plus 200 on that. But again, Patrino's probably the play in a situation like this regardless. Let's keep it right on moving, my friends. Fight 3. Now, don't kill me on these names here. I'm working on it. I try to get them, and then I forget halfway through. But nonetheless, Assai. Now, this is a guy I'm pretty high on. I'll get into it in a second. He's going to be about minus 250. He's going against Kuralaba. Now, Kuralaba is about plus 215 on this. Here's the thing with Assai. Now, you guys know I work with some of the best fighters in the world. I'm in training camps with some of the top training camps on the planet. Assai did an 8-week training camp at ATT. This is a situation where you're sitting there and you're sparring, you're working, you're training with the absolute top fighters in the country today here. This will only make you better. I tell my guys all the time, point blank, that this is where you're supposed to have the tough time, in training camp. So by the time you get up to the big show and you see a guy like Kuralaba, it shouldn't be anything. Assai is about minus 250. I like Assai here. I like him laying that, on that 8-week camp. I think he's going to finish his fight a lot easier. I think people are going to sit there and talk about Assai a lot more after this. He's only getting better. And when a fighter keeps getting better, and he's fighting competition that hasn't matched him yet, Just when you start seeing that big, delta, that's when you see a big difference, and you start seeing explosions, you start seeing big knockouts, big wins, big submissions. Umar Assai, minus the 230, minus 240 on that. Again, I've never been big on Kuralaba as it is, but I think this Saturday, Assai will get his name out there. Remember, I'm saying that. Let's keep this thing right on rolling, my friends. Fight 4. Again, don't kill me on these names here. But we've got Miktable, oh God, Oralbai, I could go to the last name, going against Chris Curtis. Now, Oralbai and Chris Curtis, I'm going to tell you guys something, another situation where we've been hearing left and right. Chris Curtis has a hamstring injury. I'll tell you why that's important here on a few reasons. Chris Curtis has a historically elite takedown defense. We're talking about 85% takedown defense, which I don't know if anybody's topped that. But again, we're talking about this is really next level takedown defense. And who's he going against? He's going against an Oralbai who's an absolute takedown machine. Over the course of a 15-round fight, Oralbai is going to average about 10 takedowns per fight. That means he's trying to take down left and right. Now, you take this guy's strength, you take that guy's strength. That's what we basically had going into this fight. If Chris Curtis's hamstring is compromised, which, again, the old saying, smoke, where there's smoke, there's fire. The fact that it's even coming out there should tell you something there. If it is compromised, this is a situation where Oralbai is going to absolutely maul him. This is a situation where, again, I know you guys like props, and I know we like plus money. You could look at Oralbai possibly by submission. Nonetheless, though, this is a guy who will take him down at will. If he gets that takedown early, and if that hamstring is really compromised or injured as it is, it will not be able to sustain the course of that fight. He will have to get out of there sooner than later there, because having a guy just rip your hamstring off its bone left and right, taking down, and then working you in the ground, believe me, that's not something that's fun. That's something that will be exploited if the situation with Curtis, is true. Even without it, I did like Oralbai. I know he's about minus 190 on that, but hearing this would be a situation where you kind of juice it up a little bit, maybe sprinkle a little extra. I know that line's going to be running a little bit, but again, a situation where if it's true, I don't want to say it's a layup. There's no such thing, especially in gambling, but this is the edge that we're looking for. That is fight 4. Now, let's get to fight 5 here. Let's keep this thing right on rolling. Now, Charles Johnson going against Bruno Silva. I'll tell you guys why this is interesting to me. Charles Johnson just got knocked out about 5 weeks ago, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, going against Alex Perez. It was a technical knockout, but he's coming right back. In the fight game, that is huge. Do you come back, or do you sit there and take off? Do you let it sit? He's coming right back. Two ways to look at this. Some guys look at it as you're coming back too early. You should take some time. Some guys look at it as good. You're getting right back on the horse. I'm a back on the horse type of guy. Unfortunately, you're running into a guy in Bruno Silva who has a 100% finish rate in the UFC. This is a guy who can knock people out. This is where it's going to get interesting, and this is the reason why you guys follow me. The market in combat sports bidding is more volatile than anything out there, and I'll tell you guys why. It's not necessarily that there's more money, less money, anything like that here, but money can move lines more so in combat sports betting than they ever will in college basketball, NBA, NFL, college football, etc. here. So when you're looking at this and you're handicapping it from a handicapper's perspective, you're looking at a guy coming off a knockout loss 4 weeks ago, going against a guy who flat out has finished anybody he's ever fought. Now, why is the line moving the opposite way? Charles Johnson's about minus 150. By the time you guys see this, we're probably looking at minus 160. Bruno Silva about plus 140. The line keeps going for Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson, point blank simple, is the better fighter. Charles Johnson, I think, wins this fight regardless. That line movement should tell you everything you need to know, especially when it comes down to this. Charles Johnson is the play. Again, not an official pick, but if you're going to sit there and lean some way, I like Charles Johnson. I think he actually comes back in a big way. I think Bruno Silva is slightly overrated. And again, I'm not a big fan of guys that aren't active. You can't get more active than fighting 4 weeks after getting knocked out like Charles Johnson did. So again, Charles Johnson minus the 150, minus 160 by the time you guys see that. That's something you can take straight up. I do like it. Again, nothing official. Now, you guys are tired of me saying that, right? Let's get to the official free pick. Here's what we're doing. Jose Delgado, one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, going against Andre Fili. Now, Delgado's he's a big line here, but at the same time, here's what I want you guys to do to win by knockout. In his last 4 fights, he's knocked down each and every single one of his opponents dating back to his DWCS days. Jose Delgado to win by knockout. Minus about 110, minus 120 on this. But again, expect an absolute smoke show. You're going to see some fireworks. Fili, to me, is an overaged guy. In my opinion, this is probably going to be one of his last fights in the UFC. This is where time to wrap it up. Jose Delgado to win by knockout, minus the 120 on that. 110 possibly if you could find it. But again, that's going to be moving up there. Jose Delgado, the UFC Fight Night official free pick to win by knockout, TKO/DQ. That's what the bets usually are. Now, the real reason you guys are watching this and the reason we're doing this. This is point blank, like I tell you guys week in and week out, the baddest crew in combat sports betting. And I want to prove it to you guys. If you're watching this, what I want you to do is DM me the word strap up. Okay? That's what we do in the gym when we put the gloves on. Strap up. Okay? I want to show you guys exactly how the baddest crew in combat sports betting, from step 1 all the way down to the bottom, absolutely destroys a bookmaker. You understand this. In combat sports betting, it's not just picking a fighter. It's not just laying money. You can't lay points, etc. So you have to have an edge. When you're looking at lines that are minus 500, minus 300, you have to find a way to exploit an edge. And when you have that edge, exploit it and destroy a bookmaker. I've done this for over 20 years. I deal with some of the best professional sports gamblers in the world. I deal with some of the top-class, world-class professional fighters in the world. Documented. Proven. You give me one shot, I show you week in and week out how the absolute point-blank period, baddest crew in combat sports betting, destroys, and I mean destroys a bookmaker. It's punchy. Strap up. Let's get it.
Cut my life into pieces.